Hi everyone, and welcome back to Rosemaling with Art of Lisa. I'm Lisa. So this is part 2 of my Hallingdal keepsake box or Bombay box that I started a few days ago, and I'm finally getting back to it to proceed on with this. If you're new to my channel, I hope you get a chance to look back at prior videos and hit subscribe, and if you're not new, well, welcome back again, and I hope you enjoy the ride. I hope everyone is out there is safe and doing well, and my blessings to you all during these crazy times. All right, so I have my palette, my wet palette here. I have my brushes off to the side. Let me pull them in. So for those of you who have been around before, you know what I do is I take a paper towel and I wet it and I put it inside of plastic wrap. And I lay my brushes inside like this so my bristles don't bend. And this way I can keep working with my brushes. The reason I do that is because I paint with acrylics. Rosemaling is traditionally done in oils, but over the last 20-30 years, many artists have switched from oils to acrylics. I started in oils and now I paint in acrylics. All right, so my colors, if you look back at my past video, I have a list of my colors there, but they're right here once again. And let's get going. So I already have my pattern here, as you see, and this is my original pattern, and it's done on blue haze. And what I did here is painted it on a galaxy blue background. All right, let's push this aside. The base of my leaves here was done in raw sienna. So I am going back into my raw sienna and putting another coat because you can see how transparent this is. Hallingdal is a style that is opaque. So you want it to be thicker. When you're working with oils, you don't have to do the layering effect. But when you're working with acrylics, you need to layer that paint on. And so one of the things to remember with acrylics is they dry darker than when they are first put on wet. So that's why you might need to do a few layers. So let's get this layer in here. We'll turn it. If you notice, I'm always turning my piece towards me because I want to pull the brush towards me. It's much easier to pull a brush towards me than push it away. So I use my arm as a brace, as you can see. Yep, you can see it. I have to double check. I'm my own videographer, so you know, I got to double check on what I'm doing. All right, so let's lay this paint in here. Again, I am using the raw sienna first. I'm going to get this nicely covered. I just keep pushing or pulling those strokes towards me. And this is an S stroke, an S stroke, a little C stroke, a C stroke, a C stroke. Let's turn it. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what's the best place for this so you can see as I load the brush. If you can see, I actually twirl my brush in so that way I get a point to it. If I do this, I don't really like that. That doesn't help me. So I pull my brush through, I twirl it. All right, let's get to this guy here. So we've got a little S, a long S, another S, layer that. Okay, I need to go back into my paint. And let's go back and do a little, they're almost little S and C's combination here. All right, let's pull it this way. Again, I'm sending my thoughts and prayers and my blessings to everyone out there during this crazy time. We are on I guess a lockdown here in Maryland. I mean, we can go out and get essentials, but we're all here. My husband, my 3 kids, and the 2 dogs. My family is back up in New York, and I'm thinking of them and praying for them and our friends and our family, and I'm thinking of all our friends and family here. So again, my thoughts are with everybody. All right. Now, I typically use the same brush as I work through a piece. This is a Joe Sonia Sure Touch. Whoops, there we go. Let's bring it into the frame. This is a Joe Sonia Sure Touch 1350 round, and I'm wondering if when I did that twirl, if you actually saw that. So twirl, there we go. See the point? You can kind of see the point there on that, okay? All right, So let me clean my brush out because I'm going to go into the red here. So this is the darkest of the reds that I used, which is Red Earth. So I'm going to twirl it in. And I did pat the extra water out of my brush because I don't want it to be soupy. All right, let's go back up to this area here. This is a nice long C stroke. So I push my brush down, I pull it towards me, and I lift off my brush to get that point. Okay, let's go the opposite direction here. See if I can get it so you guys can see it. Okay, I don't want my hand in the way. Let me go this way. All right. I push down my brush. I pull it towards me. I lift it up to a point and in. Let's do another one like that. Okay, let's work our way around. Let's go to this C stroke. I push my brush, pull it, and up. And when I pull it up, I'm bringing in the point. It's like an airplane taking off, so I can get that nice line with it. Let's do this one here. I'm pushing my brush down. I'm pulling it up to a point, and it takes off. Notice this one brush, I can get this nice thickness here right into this thinness down into that area. Let's turn it again. Let me see. Let's do this again so you guys can see. I'm going to push down my brush. I'm going to pull it towards me, bring it to a point, and take off. Let's go the opposite direction. I'm going to push my brush down, pull it towards me, and take off. Now I have an inner, if you look at this one here, I do have inner C strokes inside of that. So let's put those in there. Now again, I went into my Red Earth. I might tip into my Norwegian orange a little bit here. That way I get a little bit of lightness into it right from the start. So right inside of this stroke here, I'm going to push down, pull up, and I bring it right together. And notice I get that stroke for the most part coming right in here. It's coming into the sepal because it's all coming from that middle point. Remember, these are based on flowers. They might be fantasy flowers, but they are based on flowers. And flowers, you know, is to have, you have the sepal and then all the petals come out with that, and you go down the stem. Like everything goes to one point. So it's the same thing with rosemalling. Just like the other decorative art forms that are in the similar vein to it. Okay, look at that. That's nice. Let's work our way around here. Doesn't look like I have that in here. Looks like I have little white, so I'll come back to that. Let's go the opposite side. All right. So in the mornings, I've been doing my homeschooling with my 7th grader. So far, that's going well. I was a teacher by profession, so that helps a little bit. But I cannot say thank you enough to all the wonderful teachers out there. You guys are a true blessing to our kids, and let me tell you, they miss you. My 11th grader, she's working on her own, and my sophomore in college, she's working through with her teachers. So I want to say thank you to all the first responders too. God bless you all that are working out there. All right. So let's continue with what we're doing here. Now, these haven't quite dried yet, but let me experiment. I want to take my brush and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of that paint out. I don't want to take all the red out because I'm going to tip into my, I'll twirl it in there. I'm going to go into my vermilion. Okay, again, I'm using Joe Sonia paints by Chroma. All right, so these are my go-to acrylic paints here. So I want to add some highlight to these. So I'm going to dry brush this in. And really, I didn't mention it before, but I don't use really any medium when I'm painting Hallingdal because I want to keep that opaqueness. When I add medium, it gets too transparent, and we don't want that. All right, so let's go over here. I'm going to go over the top. I'm just going to bring some of that vermilion in there. I'm not quite sure if I love it, so maybe I will. Maybe half load in Norwegian orange, half load in vermilion. Let's try that again just to get that highlight. Let me really push that over and pull up. And because I dry brushed it over there, that red earth comes through, so I have a transition from light to dark. All right, let me do that again. So I'm half loading into Norwegian orange, half loading, and this way, this time I am going back and forth like this. I am getting a flatter feel to it. So this way, it's half on one side, then vermilion, half on the other with Norwegian orange. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to push my brush down. I'm going to pull it up and pull it all the way down so I get this nice transition of light to dark. Now I do have a little bit of a extra little thing here, so I'm going to take out something that's called a wipeout tool. Just a really cool thing. You can tell this has been well loved. This is by Kemper Tools. So this is a wipeout tool, and I can go in there and clean up a little bit. This works great with oils. It works great with acrylics. Acrylics, obviously, you have to work a little faster. All right, let's go over here. All right, I'm going to go over to this one here. We're going to just work our way around. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit. There we go. Let's turn this way. So Norwegian orange and vermilion. Let's pull it over the top of this one. Push that brush down. Pull up. Get that fading out. Let's do the same on the other side. All right, I'm going to push that brush down. Pull up. And then I also want to give these inside ones a little lightness. So I'm going to tip into the vermilion. Just pull in, tip, pull in. Okay, I don't quite like that little thing there, so let's just wipe that away. And I just pull it down. You don't want to get a little splotchy look there. Okay. And then we're on this side here. Let's take care of this because we want them all to match. All right, so let me push down, pull up, push down, pull up. Ooh, that's looking pretty. All right, so let's go back to our yellow. Let me get that. I'm just literally do that, roll out my paint. All right. I'm going to edge into, this time I'm going to do that edging in, into my raw sienna. And then I'm going to go into some yellow oxide. Okay. I want to keep the raw sienna on the one side here. I'm just going to work my way up and pull it across. All right, I still have a little red in my brush, which is really okay. I'm going into the Turner's yellow, which is the lighter one. You want to have one side lighter and the other side darker. It's like a shadow, like you would see outside in your leaves when you look at your flowers. Oh, that looks pretty. All right, again, this is going to dry darker than what it appears right now, so we may have to come back to it. So let's go back here. Let's get this nice big one here. I'm doing the darker edge, and you have to make sure that your raw sienna, that your darker part paint is on that left side of the brush there. Okay, pulling up. Okay, and around. Just working it around. Again, I'm going into my Turner's yellow. And I'm edging into that right side, and I'm pulling it over and getting a blend. Now acrylics dry very fast, but if you work quickly, you can get that blend in pretty nicely. Again, you can come back over once it dries. Okay, I'm going into my raw sienna, my yellow oxide, coming into the left, working my way around. I had a little more water in there than I wanted. Okay, so I'm just going to pat it a little bit. Okay, into my Turner's yellow. Edge on the right. And just bring it to the left. Okay. All right, let's get this last side here. Raw sienna, yellow oxide. I know I keep repeating myself. Sometimes I listen to myself and go, oh, what am I saying? Well, I hope you guys enjoy some time in my studio with me. I'm not done yet. I'm still going. I have to say this has been an adventure. You're normally a super busy household. A lot of times we don't spend a lot of time at home. We're running between orchestras and sporting events and school and soccer and you name it. My husband's busy with church. We're busy with church, work. You know, so I have to say this has been, in a strange way, a very pleasant reprieve. It's kind of nice to kind of settle back in with the family, spend some time talking, doing things together. You know, I miss my friends. I miss talking to people on a regular basis. But it's been kind of nice to just kind of settle in a little bit. Do I want it to stay like this? No. I am very thankful for all that people out there taking care of everything that we need to do to keep us going. But for now, this is the deck that we are dealt. We will deal with it. All right, so I still have yellow in my brush. I'm going to edge into my warm white. So this is still wet. I'm going to edge all the way over to that right. Just going to bring that warm white, just bring it around. Now we really have a nice transition of color. All right, let's work that around here. Same on these side petals. Just bring it around. Let's go over to this one. Okay. I'll just bring it around here. This is going to be a multiple part series for this. And what I'm planning to do is put 2 videos out a week. So I'm going to plan on doing Tuesday and Friday. It is still Tuesday, right? I feel like I'm losing track of the days. Anybody else losing track of the days? There was an old movie from the 70s. If it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium. I kind of feel like, I think that was the name of the movie. I don't know. I'm dating myself. Back in the day, growing up in New York, we had Channel 5, Channel 9, Channel 11, and you had all the different movies you'd watch, the B movies, you know, whatever, all crazy things. Grew up on, don't mind me, coffee. Grew up on Abbott and Costello and Bob Hope and Bing Crosby movies and John Wayne. And anytime you're sick, you know, we didn't have video games. You sat and watched movies. Old-time movies. All right, let's bring some color onto the inside of this. See, I'm really mumbling today. All right, let's edge into a little of that Turner's yellow, a little bit of that warm white, and I'm just going to bring a little bit of color into the inside of this. Let's turn it at an angle here so you can see. Double checking my angles. Yep. All right, let's go. Not sure if I like that. So I'm just going to wipe it away. The nice thing with acrylics is you can just pull it away. Let's try that again. Again, now I'm not changing brushes. I'm still using my size 4 here. But I'm just using the very, very tip of it. The very, very tip with that color. So, and I just lightly, if I push too hard, I won't get that nice fine little C stroke there. Let's pull that. There we go. Let's go to the other side. I think I can get away without adding any extra paint. It's amazing how far, nah, I don't like that. It's amazing how far the paint goes. You don't need very much paint. And the nice thing, so this, what I'm using is a wet palette. It actually has, let's see if I can pull it up. It has a sponge underneath it and this paper, so it keeps my palette fresh. This is actually the same palette I used a few days ago when I started this demonstration. So here's the top of it. I can just seal it up. But you can get away with just using palette paper if you have wax paper at home. You know, if you want to try this, by all means, experiment with the brushes or paints you have at home. You don't have to have the same paints I'm having right now to experiment and try. And, you know, play with the different brushes you might have at home. I know right now it's very hard to get supplies, so, you know, hopefully if you don't have supplies at home, hopefully you can kind of enjoy as I paint and perhaps down the road try it. And if you do have supplies at home, you know, by all means, give it a go. You know, I always say it's just paint. You know, this isn't rocket science. This isn't, you know, anything super crazy. But you know what it is? It's soothing. It's comforting. It's, I kind of look at Rosemaling, because Rosemaling, the patterns, the designs, are kind of similar to so many different ethnic groups. It's kind of like comfort food for the eyes. Maybe not for the belly, but for the eyes. It's something that looks familiar and feels familiar. I think that's one of the reasons why so many people like it. All right, I'm going to leave this alone right now. I'm going to go up here. I can see it's still not quite, it's still a little too transparency. We'll let that dry. We'll come back over it. And that's okay. You know, when you're working on a piece, it doesn't always come straight away. So I've got two flowers at either end here. And when I'm looking at this, I really based them in warm white. So let's go into my warm white. I did a little bit of water wash on this, took the paint out, and let's just start. I still have some paint in here, so let's just do a nice little round flower here. It's okay if it's not exactly what I did on this one. Let's come around to this side. I'm just laying in. Again, you can see some of that galaxy blue coming through. When you have a darker background, obviously it's going to come through more than when you have a lighter background. Let's come to this side. But it is fun to experiment with the same pattern or a similar pattern on different color backgrounds. I'm in the process of doing that with a bunch of welcome signs. Oh, and for those who are wondering about the pattern packets, I have 4 or 5 ready, just about ready to upload, and I'm hoping to have another 4 or 5 ready with that. And I'm just experimenting and learning how to put the designs up on Etsy for people to either download or to order a hard copy from me. So I'm working on it. I have not forgot. Haven't forgot about them. They are coming. All right. So let's see here. Now I have my aqua and I have my pine green, and I see I kind of did something in here. Let's add something in there. Do we want to do green? Do we want to do aqua? What can we do? And I'm looking to balance my colors. So like I have reds in here, so I really need to bring a red up here. So you know what? Why don't I do that first? Okay, so I'm just going to kind of wing this color in, and let's see. I want to maybe put a guideline in here so I keep it kind of even on each side. You know, it is a symmetrical pattern, so we want to keep the symmetry as much as we can. Let's see. All right. Let me put one there. And let me put one there. Okay, one's a little higher than the other. I'm not too worried about it because, much like life, you know, when you look at somebody's face, you know, our face looks pretty symmetrical. See my face, hello. But it's not perfectly symmetrical. So it's really okay if it's not perfect. It's almost more pleasing to the eye when it's not perfect. Well, that's a little cockeyed. Oh well. Let's just bring it this way. Bring it down. Okay. Bring it down. Again, this is a lovely little chalk pencil, white chalk pencil that I have. Geoganda. Geoganda? Okay. Anyway. All right. Let's come around this way. Same idea. Nice little C stroke. And I bring it right down in between those because, again, we want everything to come down into that sepal. Okay. All right. So we matched our reds. We're going to let that dry. We got to add some other colors in here. So let's see. I think the center, the sepal, I think I want to do this nice blue. Right? This is that nice aqua. So let's just put some of that in there. Oops. Ah, so careful. I just had a boo-boo there. Can you see that? So I dropped some water on there. I took the paint up. We'll take care of that after. Not going to worry over spilled water. All right. Let's just base that sepal in there. All right, so I like that. I like aqua, and it will dry darker. It's just a nice, vibrant, bright color to me, and I really enjoy it. So maybe what we'll do, let's see, twirling that in. I like to add a little bit of that blue. Maybe what I'll do, see, I have these leaves in here. Have a little this there. Well, let me come up here. I'm going to add on to these first and then come down. So let's do this. All right. I kind of like that. Let's come around to the other side. So you can kind of see how I am just developing this design. I'm basing it on the one I have here. But if I change it up a little, I'm not really too worried about it. It's kind of fun to add a little change. Sometimes I'll work on designs beforehand on paper. Sometimes, and some of you have seen, you've gone back and seen my doodles. Like a month or two ago, I did a doodle and then I developed a whole design with that. I still have to paint the back of it. That's going on Etsy. It was a really pretty frame. So I'll get that up on Etsy. Want to actually develop that design into a pattern. Okay, I kind of like that. That's nice. So I've got the blue, the blue, the blue. I need some blue elsewhere. I could do them in flowers. Let's see if we can get some green in here. Inside the mind of a working artist, we mumble to ourselves a lot. I talk to myself all the time. And I answer myself too. I don't know if that's good or bad. All right, so I'm going into my pine green. Now the pine green is going to, the background's a little dark for it, but I'm going to add some yellow to help it along as I go. So let's maybe put these leaves in here, right? You can kind of see it. Okay, I'm just going to base my leaves in first. And then I'm going to you can hear my New York. My New York comes out. I'm going to just put some stuff in here. I'm going to talk like I'm from New York. Yeah, that's a really strong New York accent. Anyway, all right, back. Here we go. Let's go this way. And then yeah, sometimes you need to go into Norwegian accent, you know, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I think of my grandparents, my husband's grandparents. All right, so we can see that green. Now we want to make that pop. So I'm just going to wipe some of that green out. It's still on my brush. I think I'm going to go into my yellow oxide. Okay, and I'm going to just edge on the inside of it. Let's see here. That's bringing it out a little bit more. I almost think it needs a little more yellow oxide. Let's come on this side. So see how I'm just working it up into the darker end. Light on one side, dark on the other. Okay, let's do it again. I could tell I had a little too much paint on it, so then the more you paint, the more you get the feel of when you have too much of a color on or too much water. You just sense it before you put it down. You know, it's if any of you have ever read or heard of the Outliers book, it's the 10,000 hours you put into something. You just kind of sense it. I definitely have more than 10,000 hours. I don't know how many hours I have, but it's definitely more than 10,000. All right, so I like that. I like that. Let's see. Now I need to bring a little of the green up to the top here. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put, and this time I had the yellow oxide in there to start with. Okay, so you can really see it. I'm going to do a green leaf there. And I'm going to do a green leaf up here. Start to bring that around. Okay, I like that. Let's see, what else can I do with that green? Do I want to bring, let's see. Maybe I want to bring a nice long one here. I think I like that. You know, and if I don't like it, I can always wipe it off later. You can, because this was base coated, like I said, and then I put a coat of glaze on it as a barrier coat, I can come in afterwards with either water or some rubbing alcohol and take out what I painted. When you do that, you have to be very careful because you don't want to totally rub everything off. You can use a paper towel. You can use Q-tips. Okay, so you can see I have that double loaded, so I have the two colors on there. Let's come over to the other side. Okay, pull it in, and I'm following. I got a little bigger than I wanted, but not ridiculously so. All right. Again, I'm not going to worry about it being totally perfectly matchy because what ends up happening is a lot of times, and this is in everything in life, you super analyze this one little stroke, this one little thing you do in life. You analyze it, you beat yourself up over it, you do all these different things, and then once you finish the whole thing and you look back, you're like, what, where was that thing that I was worried about? Does anybody even notice it? No. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just don't sweat it. It's not worth sweating it. And you know what? In life, isn't pretty much the majority of what we deal with small stuff? And we're certainly learning that right now, right? Life is full of small stuff. Worry, and you know what? You can't even worry about the big stuff. You have to just pray and have faith and give your worry over to God. Because so many things in life we do not have control over. So let's control what we can control. I can control my brush, so I'm going to control my brush. I tell my kids all the time to take care of your circle. You have your circle of things, and your circle overlaps your friend's circle. So that overlap, you take care of that, or your family and stuff. But if you don't take care of your circle first, you can't help anybody else. So that's my words of advice for today. Take care of your circle. As you hear my chair squeaking in the background. All right, I have one of those lovely ergonomic chairs. All right, this is looking good. I'm liking how this is coming. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm taking the paint out of my brush. I'm going to go back. And let's see, I'm just going to add some paint in here. Okay. I'm going to add just a little in here. Let's come over to the other side. I'm going to add, this again is warm white. I'm going to add some warm white over here. Okay, whoops, coming a little out of my lines. I'm just going to tip a little bit into my raw sienna, and I'm going to go off the top a little bit. Let's just pull it in. I'm going to add a little bump, just blend the color in, tip, come on the top of the other one, a little bump, blend in. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed your time in my studio with me today. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, and you are more than welcome to come back and see the next episode where I will be detailing this piece. Please feel free to hit subscribe. And I truly hope that each and every one of you have a wonderful, blessed day out there. Remember, it's just paint. Life is good, and I wish blessings to each and every one of you. Take care.